Over the last few days, I have been in deep prayer, meditation, and trying to figure this thing out. It's so interesting that when I was both performative and trying to go through transformation, trying to do both of them at the same time, which is crazy, people were supporting me. People were there. Part of that was because a lot of the people that were there, they were there for the performance. They didn't really want the transformation. And as long as I stayed tied to performance, then I was going to stay stuck. But I had had enough. After 20 years of crystal meth use, I had had enough. And I've always, in that, during that journey, for the most part, not always, for the most part, in that journey, I've always, for the most part, I keep saying I've always, it's not I've always. There were times when I wanted to get out but didn't know how. I wanted to stop but didn't know how. And there was this, again, transformative, performative thing going on where I know in the background I would make certain adjustments, but they wouldn't stick, or they were personal to the point that people didn't see them. And when people can't see the changes that you're making, then those changes on the outside, looking in, don't seem like they're working or don't seem like they're happening. Then I think about how I actually started using drugs, started using crystal meth. Funny thing is, I didn't touch my I didn't smoke weed until my late 20s, early 30s. It was more the late 20s because that's when I was introduced to ecstasy, and I had a binge on that. That eventually faded into a crystal meth use, which then became crack use, Molly, crystal meth, and it was a cycle. And then I moved fully into the crystal meth thing. And when I tell you that this journey has been interesting, when I look back and see everything from a wide angle, I see why it worked. The generational cycles and how the enemy uses things that work. My dad dealt with addiction, so it worked. Then I met up with people who I thought were in my life to help me. I thought were in my life for me to get to elevate. But many of them was just there to cause confusion, to keep me in this cycle, keep me in the cycle. And I had to move away from a lot of those people. I had to go silent, go into isolation, actually go into solitude. I don't like the word isolation. It was more like solitude. It's more like one-on-one with God. And in that space of solitude, I started to work on me. All the time that I was giving to other people, started to give to me. And I started changing. I started uprooting those things. Started doing inner child healing. And all of that stuff started to come up. Was it easy? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it was necessary. It was necessary. I had to uproot a lot of old thinking and a lot of old habits and just heal the child within from the wounds that my parents in society, in environment, in religion, and all those things created. And I had to go one on one with God and meet the little boy within. And we healed. We healed. Now we're at a situation where I've seen the patterns for a long time. I've seen the what I call illegal multi-tiered subversive network networks because it's more than one. Illegal, subversive, multi-tiered networks. Let's say that again. Illegal, subversive, multi-tiered networks that are operating, disrupting the lives of people who don't disrupt the lives of people. Let me say that again. These networks disrupt the lives of people who don't disrupt the lives of people. And for the longest time, I couldn't speak on it. For the longest time, I could not tell my story because I would be deemed crazy. And that's what crystal meth use does, right? You're in a situation where you see what's happening. You can't speak on what's happening because the network will make you out to be the crazy one, make you out to be the one who doesn't see what you see. And more importantly, in my case, I think what God did, because I've always asked for clarity, I've always asked for clarity. God used something that was supposed to destroy me and actually open my eyes. And each and every time, I was at that pivotal point where if I took one more step over, it would be disastrous. God pulled me back every single time. Every single time. So, what do I do from here? I recognize that this isn't something that's new, it's old as in the Bible. People working in the background doing evil to other people, trying to take what's not theirs. It's as old as the Bible. You take King Ahab in Naboth's vineyard. Naboth's vineyard was right next to King Ahab's palace. He saw that vineyard and he wanted it for himself. And he went down to Naboth and he said, "Hey, can I have the vineyard?" And Naboth said, "No, I can't give this to you. It's part of my inheritance. God says to keep it. I cannot." So, like a selfish,
Narcissistic,
immature,
narcissistic,
bratty
narcissistic.
person, King Ahab went back to the the palace, and he says he was sulking. He was, oh, why can't I have the feel? Oh. He wanted something that didn't belong to him, and God said you couldn't have it. And instead of saying okay, he laid around the house sulking, and then Jezebel saw it, and she said, "Oh, you're the king. Get up. Have some backbone about you. I'll take care of this." So she wrote letters to some officials and said, "Hey, we're going to have this celebration. We want you to give Naboth a prominent seat, and we want you to set two scoundrels, one to the left and one to the right of him. And then what they're going to say, we want you to do is say that he cursed God and the people. He cursed God in heaven or something like that. He cursed God. And back then, that was, they would stone you for that. And that's exactly what happened. Naboth went to the celebration. He had a scoundrel on his left, scoundrel on his right. And what she did is she sealed it with the king's stamp. So that's what they did. They killed him. And then she went back and said, well, Naboth is dead. You can take the vineyard yet. And then God sent Elijah. And he prophesied. He said, you took what you wasn't supposed to take. And so God's going to take from you, from your sons, and it's going to go down through your generation. And King Ahab put on sackcloth. And he repented. But Jezebel didn't. And what's funny, what's interesting, it's about 14, 15 years passed before justice was served on what she did. 14, 15 years later, Jehu went down. And God said that the dogs were going to eat her up. And that's what happened. He called up to the window, and her servants pushed her down out the windows. Horses trampled her. And Jehu went inside her house and said, well, go bury her. And they went back. He said the only thing that was left were her skull, hands, and feet. Dogs ate her up. To the point that nobody could tell who she was. The story of Naboth's vineyard is interesting because he went to that celebration not knowing what was happening in the background. When the king left and he went back home sunken, and Jezebel came up with this scheme, he had no idea what was happening in the background. And that's what these illegal, subversive, multi-tier networks do. They work in the background to try to create havoc in people's lives. They want people to curse God and die. They want people to lose their mind. They want people to be the example of why you don't leave God or believe in God. One of the two. One of the two. I know one of them is correct. Either they don't want you to believe in God, or they're using this example, my life example, to show why you don't leave God. It's one of the two. I don't know what it is because God hasn't given me that clarity yet. But I've seen some things and I know that I prayed earnestly and God said, do the video. Tell your story. Tell your story. So that's what I'm doing. It has not been easy. It's not been easy. But I'm not going back. That's one thing I have to say, that I'm not going back. I've seen I've seen too many of the signs to go back. I've seen people who have sent these mixed messages through, who were supposed to be my friends. And as I went silent and the mask started falling off, they started sending me messages and I said, "Oh, you must be part of that network too. You your mask done slipped. You're not getting what you want now. So you send me these mixed messages." Or you do the check-in to see how, if you still have access. The one that really got me was, "Hey, I'm going to be in Orlando. We should meet." "Hey, I'm not in Orlando. I'm in an undisclosed location taking care of me." Well, I hope it works out better for you than it, what was it? "Coming to Orlando today. Let's plan to meet." Unfortunately, not in Orlando. "Did you move or just out of town?" "I haven't made any official relocation decisions. I'm in an undisclosed location working on me." Dick Cheney did the same after 9/11. He was in an undisclosed location working on himself. Let's hope it works out better for you. That kind of, that kind of. And then that was April. "Hey, Lamont, I could use your help with some lighting. Take a look at this shot." Messages to see if you still have access. Knowing you were part of the situation. Knowing you were part of the network. And then try to justify, try to make me seem like I'm crazy. Do I come across as someone who's crazy? Now, I know there are a lot of people on social media, a lot of people who give that energy. I don't give that energy. I don't give that energy. And what I've tried to do for over almost a year now is I've sent, through the Privacy Act, requests for information. And each and every time I've been ignored, contacted, and then ignored again. No one's ever sent me from through the Privacy Act. No one's ever sent me my information. And my question is, who is covering up something? Where is the cover up? I'm tired of dealing with these people who deceive and try to cover up the truth. I'm tired of it. But not tired to the point of wanting to give up on life, not tired to the point of giving up on God, not tired to the point of wanting to crash out. not tired in any of those things, because in this journey with God, sitting one on one with God, I feel like Job. Job did not know that the devil had that conversation with God. He had no idea. And at the end of Job's trials, Job said, I got to see God. He became more intimately familiar, known to God. He got to see God in a way that was very intimate. And that's how I feel. Glory be to Yahweh. I do not look like what I've been through. You make it a great day.